Hello, welcome to game 2 of my match against Crabcat2. I won the first one, and now I'm going first in the second one, so things are looking up. I assume without looking at it much that you're just opening Experiment Silk Merchant, try to ramp up really quickly, try to grab the trading post. With that open, you could even spike and expand fairly quickly, and you can grab a fortress, some more Silk Merchants, and get an engine going with Fortress, Silk Merchants. Maybe you grab a kiln along the way. That could do some thinning. I don't think you play with Baron, Herbalist. Probably don't ever buy a Flag Bearer. I don't even think you buy silvers in this kingdom. Maybe you expand a copper, yeah, you trading post for silvers. Maybe buy gold, not sure. But yeah, you try to get a kiln. If you could buy like Fortress, Kiln, Silk, that's really nice. So the plan is just to open Experiment, Silk. I think Banquet is bad with Experiment, Silk stuff. These are just really nice cards. I guess with Way of the Camel, you can do some stuff there too. So this is 4, 5. Next turn, I'm guaranteed to trigger a shuffle, and I want to have a trading post in that shuffle for sure. So I can start thinning my estates into silvers, and I'll also have a plus buy next turn, which is nice. Yeah, if you don't hit 5 on turn 3 and then you trigger a shuffle turn 4, it's a little bit sad. But I guess if you hit, you're going to hit 5 either turn. So you're either going to have 3 or 4. You can use the coffer like I just did. Yeah, it looks like that's sort of what they were looking at. Definitely just going to play the Silk Merchant. And then trash 2. That gets me 6. Banquet's actually interesting once I have the engine going for trading post food. 6 is a little bit awkward. My bottom 4 cards are 3 coppers in a state. I could go like double Experiment and just really try to ramp up building. I think that's what I'm gonna go ahead and do. Next turn is likely to be sad, but you know, worst comes to worst, I pick up a fortress perhaps, or a Flag Bearer. Yeah, so worst card I can draw is another copper. So adding experiments makes it less likely, and then I'll have 4, and I'm pretty happy to add 1 fortress into the deck with the silks I plan on having. But the other advantage to buying 4 experiments is that I'm very likely to draw them. So they must have absolute bottom deck their experiment here. I don't know, I would have considered instead of cameling, I mean, maybe they drew it with all estates. It's like 3 estates, copper experiment. I would have considered playing it just so you can get a shuffle off a little bit sooner. So this is 6 for me. Again, a little bit awkward. My bottom 5 cards are copper, silver, 2 experiments. Copper, silver, 2 experiments, Silk Merchant, trading post. So that's pretty nice. I wonder if I can already grab a kiln. Maybe I just need to grab a Silk Merchant for the villager, knowing that I'm going to need it next turn. And then try to grab a fortress next turn. Having the villager will be nice because I'm going to have at least 2 terminals that I want to play here. A little bit confused. They should have had an experiment in hand. Maybe they drew turn 4 or turn 5. Huh. I'm not quite sure. The crypt is interesting this early. I know J Nails likes the crypts, but they seem like you're just going to set aside a couple of coppers and you're drawing a bunch with experiments and you're churning through stuff, and I'm not really sure. All right, let's play the silk. So this is some amount of money. I'm strongly considering trashing the silk. That will give me 8 money plus a coffer. I can buy like Fortress, Silk Merchant. Bottom couple of cards are still coppers, but starting to ramp up the deck there. Decent chance to draw all the stuff. Yeah, I'm not really worried about payload quite yet. So I actually have 2 coffers there if I wanted to spend them. I don't think I want to yet. I'm always going to play the trading post here. The only question is, like, do we need to draw? I don't think we do. Like, we've got experiments. You can always kill an experiment, so you can kind of keep printing those every turn as you use them for playing with Kiln. So this is 8, and we can grab, yeah, Fortress, Silk Merchant. This is a very nice draw. Hopefully draw either the Fortress or the Trading Post with these two. If not, we'll probably pause here and buy something else. Could be more experiments. Could be the Kiln that we're looking for. We have trashed all 3 estates, which is nice. Okay, I don't really want to spend a villager, do I? I've got 2 villagers, I guess, in the, next turn. My hand is not that great, so I guess I will spend. Okay, so next hand is 2 coppers, Fortress, Trading Post. So I'll at least get to trash 2 coppers. So this is 12. Thinking like Fortress, Kiln, Experiments. Kiln is a really nice card with either Experiment or Silk Merchant. With Experiment, it gains 2 of them. With Silk Merchant, it gains the Coffer and the Villager. And I'm going to thin more coppers next turn, so I'm starting to get to the point where I can use that. The Experiment's just nice, non-terminal draw. Okay, so this is just 4. I've got the 2 experiments, a couple Silk Merchants down there, the Kiln. So I'll feel pretty decent about next turn. Actually, I have both the Fortresses, right? I have 2 Fortresses, 2 Silk Merchants, Kiln. So I've got mostly good on terminals. I wonder if it's crazy now to go for the Flag Bearer, being that I'm ahead quite a bit on thinning. I've thinned 5 cards. They haven't thinned any. They're, in fact, adding coppers with the Banquet, although I'm not sure if that's strategic, like they're trying to go for a Crypt Banquet strategy, or that's just the way it ended up working out. Like, it seems much tougher for them to contest the flag than me. That would be my logic behind the Flag Bearer. But I think I want to try to get Fortress stuff going, expand, Silks, Experiments, so one more Fortress seems reasonable. And I could also just grab another Silk here. I don't think I'll have much problem doing that next turn. I guess I might as well buy the Silk now. Yeah, if I'm going to buy something now and then get the other one next turn, might as well buy the one that gives me the on-buy benefit that Silk Merchant has. So yeah, they blow up most of their experiments. They're going to be a pretty big draw if they're going to be able to set aside a lot of stuff on this crypt now, and they're going to be effectively thinner than me. The cost of that is their payload is going to have dropped pretty significantly here once they play this crypt, assuming that's the last card in their hand and it's not the estate. It very well could be an estate. What would the other card in their deck be? Estate. 3 more cards. I think I have 2 experiments. Oh, 2 coppers, perhaps. 2 coppers, estate, crypt is the 4 cards in their deck. So it's 50-50 whether it's the crypt or the... It's really sad if it's the estate, because now they just have to buy more experiments and try to get the crypt thing next turn. So assuming it is the crypt, they can now buy... Kiln Fortress makes sense to me. Kiln's a little bit of money. Start doing Kiln Fortress tricks. They do need the Villager. It could also be Fortress Silk Merchant. And then set aside like 5 coppers, I would say. And then they have 2 coppers each the next 2 turns. Although I guess they've got 2 coppers down at the bottom of the deck, so they could set aside. Actually, they trashed 2 coppers here, right? No, they trashed 2 estates. So you could set aside 5, 6, or 7 coppers. All those make sense to me. If they get the 1 Fortress and the Silk Merchant, that makes sense. I would probably set aside... Honestly, you could go all 7, just their next turn is going to be a little bit sad. That is what they elect to do. Alright, well, I'm definitely going to play Kiln Silk Merchant here. Trigger this shuffle, try to get try to get through. Oh yeah, I just drew the kiln. Okay, I was wondering if this is a bad shuffle to trigger. It's not terrible. Okay. And yeah, I think we can go ahead and use a villager here. Try to get all the way through this shuffle. Okay, so I've got 11, 13 money, a couple coffers I can spend. Starting to print the Silk Merchants, so I do need to grab a couple of villages here. Let's get the draw going. The money situation seems okay. I could start to add potentially like an expand. I'm not quite drawing. I think I want to add a little bit more draw. So 13 money. I could go like 15 money and buy Fortress, Silk Merchant, expand. Or Fortress. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I should have, I don't quite have the terminal space for the expand yet. With 13 money, I could go Fortress, Silk Merchant. I wonder if just grabbing another Silk Merchant is fine. Or 2 fortresses and a Silk Merchant. Is there any reason to buy experiments? Well, I've got 13, so I could go Fortress, Silk Merchant, experiment, but I'm drawing well enough. I have a lot more payload than they do. They set aside most of their payload. I can also just keep trashing and then start grabbing golds. And maybe they could grab golds as well. So I've got 4 terminals here, 5 terminals here that I played this turn. I guess I'm going to get 2 fortresses and a Silk Merchant. And then next turn, look to grab the expand. Really? Yeah, I mean, I can always expand Silk Merchant into village. But yeah, I think I need one more turn of building before I add the expand. I don't know. I feel like, Naismith would have just added the expand there without thinking. And maybe that's what I should have done. So they can build up payload with Way of the Camel and slowly trash stuff with the trading post, which is nice. I'm not super concerned about that. I can also banquet myself potentially. And there's some pile pressure with fortresses, with Silk Merchants and experiments, certainly. We'll play. I'm just trying to watch when I play the cards in case I want to kiln something. I guess we play the fortress first. Okay, the very bottom card of the deck is the kiln. And there's really nothing I want to kiln other than the cards that I have. So I can just leave that on top for next turn. This is 8, 11 money. If I trash, and I could do the same thing I had just thought. Fortress, Silk Merchant, expand, it's 15. I can trash the Silk Merchant for a coffer and a villager, and then buy like double Silk Merchant Fortress. I kind of like the idea of leaving 1 Silk Merchant in the pile so I can gain it. I can just trash two coppers here and buy Fortress, expand. Fortress is a good expand target. Kiln, I can kiln expands and gain stuff really quickly. And having the Silk Merchants gives me some flexibility later. Fortress, expand. Yeah, slightly annoyed that the kiln was the very bottom card of the deck. I guess it was the bottom 1 or 2. I missed a kiln play there. If it's any other position other than the bottom 2, I get to kiln the Silk Merchant and get an extra gain there. It costs me a villager, but I get the villager back with the Silk Merchant gain. They may just gain 2 Silk Merchants here. And I can always kiln the expand or kiln the fortress. It's somewhat important potentially to start greening here, as the piles can run very, very quickly. Gaining some experiments, which seems reasonable. Yeah, their payload primarily right now is expand. They don't look to be going for golds, although you can gain and play golds with the expand mid-turn. The experiments pile only costs 12 to empty, so the Silk Merchants plus Fortress experiments pile stuff can run quite quickly. All right, so we get this off. Get to gain a copy of that. Draw here. The bottom card of the deck is what? How many silvers do I have? I have 5 silvers and a copper. Well, the bottom card of the deck is my expand. Of course it is. So I will play. Okay, I can go ahead and expand this trading post now. I don't see a ton of use for it. I've got 11, 13 money. I can expand the trading post into a province. The kiln gives me some ability if I kiln the expand to do some interesting stuff. I like taking a province here because with 2 expands, you know, they can potentially gain a whole bunch of experiments really quickly, and I can do the same. I think I'm going to grab a province here. I'll have 13 money, 13 plus or minus, and maybe I'll just grab like a silk merchant. I don't want to lower that much. Realistically, they have 2 expands, so they can gain, you know, 2 cards with expands that are not named expand, and then they can buy with, you know, 8 money, 10 money, buy a couple of things. So I think as long as I leave 2 fortresses and 6 experiments in the pile, that would cost them 14 money, and they wouldn't be able to do that and province. So I'm thinking like Silk Merchant, Experiment, Fortress, which again would, that's a little bit risky. So perhaps just Silk Merchant, double province here, expand trading post into province, and then buy Silk Merchant province, and, you know, next turn reassess. It should not be that difficult to continue lowering, especially if they don't take money next turn. So for 15, so I could pay 2 and buy 2 experiments, which seems reasonable. Province, Silk Merchant, experiments. So yeah, piles got lowered, but I scored a ton of points. So I kind of put them in a spot where they need to expand stuff into provinces. Otherwise, I'm just going to be able to get 2 more provinces this turn, or even mill, you know, start milling provinces. And if they don't score a bunch of points, then I can aggressively attack the fortress and experiments piles. You know, expanding my silk merchants into fortresses and buying the rest of the experiments, something like that. Yeah, they're getting a bunch of golds, so they'll be able to buy a reasonable amount of stuff here. I wasn't counting how much payload the gold adds, but the expand, they lose an expand target in order to be able to do that. They're also out of villagers now, whatever that's worth. So, you know, for me to pile out, there's going to be 7 experiments in the pile. I just need to expand, you know, kiln a fortress, expand Silk Merchant to fortress, and pay, you know, 9 or 12 to pile out, which is pretty easy with the amount of payload I have. I just got to find the kiln. That fortress feels a little bit aggressive. All right, let's save 1 experiment here if we can. All right, so we're going to go ahead and kiln this fortress. Piling out takes 12 right now, which I think I have. Yeah, I think I had the win in hand there. It was just going to take me a second to find it. So that game goes to me. I think I had some good draws early. My plan was pretty solid. I maybe waited a little bit too much to add the expand, but overall, it worked out. Maybe they had some unfortunate draws, and I will see you in game 3.